little introduction to our new after-touch measurement tool. The after-touch measurement tool helps you so that you get an equal after-touch on all 88 keys. To open it up, you just can slightly hold it in one hand, and it's like a Swiss knife. You just open it up and you have here the 5 different measurements. The measurements are in millimeters. So it starts with 0.5, it goes up to 1.6 millimeter. Depending on what kind of aftertouch you would like, you can choose either a smaller aftertouch measurement or a bigger one. Let's have a look on this grand action here. I start with the biggest one. This is 1.6 millimeters. You put it in between the underside of the key and above the felt. You can just lie it on there. You don't have to press, just put it in. Afterwards, you take the key, you guide him slowly down, and you always keep an eye on the hammer on the back side. You go and have a look if the let-off point gets touched and if the hammers fall down. If it easily falls down by having the aftertouch gauge in between, then it means you have too much of an aftertouch. Here, if I press it down, I have to press quite hard until the let-off point gets reached. So it means I have less aftertouch than this gauge. So instead of 1.6, I turn up to 1.3 millimeters and I do the same thing back again. So I put it in between, I press down the key, and I keep an eye on the hammer. Does it let off or not? Here, it lets off easily and it falls back down. I don't need to add a lot of pressure here on the key. So here I have 1.3 millimeter. Let's say you want to have less aftertouch. By feeling, you feel, well, that's a little too much, so you want to have less. You have two options. One option is touch depth, so you add shims or you take away on either way if you want to have more or less aftertouch, or the blow distance, if you add a shorter blow distance or if you make a bigger blow distance. In the normal situation, you have already done the let-off and you have done the touch depth. So it means that you have to adjust the blow distance in the regulation part. We suggest that when you do a new regulation on an instrument, first you do always the let-off and afterwards you do the touch depth. If you have both set, the blow distance can be adjusted with this one depending on what kind of aftertouch you would like to have. So let's say I want to have 1 millimeters. Then I do my samples. You can either choose all C or you take another key. Usually we do every fifth key with the aftertouch depth, and I set my blow distance in the height. Just set the blow distance with the capstan screw, make 5 samples over each field or over the whole set, and then adjust the blow distance for all other keys. To double check if you have worked properly before, you can now go through all the keys, you take one after another, you control if you have the same amount of pressure on all keys, and if not, then you have to check either if the touch depth or if the let-off isn't correct. So adjust this one and go through. If you have done all the white keys, then you can go on the black keys. You haven't done until this point the touch depth of the black key. The touch depth we do now with this measurement tool. We go in between, the same procedure like with the white key. You go in between underneath the black key, you press down. If it's easy, if you don't have to press the same amount of force like on the white key, you have to add the shims underneath the keys. If it's too hard, if you have to press stronger than on the white key, you have to reduce the amount of punchings you have added on the front. That's the easiest way to do. You just go from one to another. At the end, you should be able to go through all 88 keys with the same amount of pressure for the aftertouch, and they should all be equal. One little advice here. If you work with these tools, you can have an easy measurement for all your co-workers that you all do it the same way. When you put it in between and you press down, if you're down on the measurement tool, you can watch your fingertip. When you press hard on the fingertip turns white in front. You should have always the same amount of white on all 88 keys, which shows up. If no white shows up, you know you don't press a lot. So this helps you to find out that you all have the same amount of pressure with this tool. Enjoy!